Leslie Dowd, I don't want to give her last name. Is that her last name? Leslie, my friend Leslie, speaking my language, Alice. Have you seen what she's texting me?
No, I'm not.
She has all sorts of cool and interesting trinkets. So the stuff that I've been hunting.
Don't give him any trinkets,
this weekend,
Leslie.
Alice, I was this close this weekend to getting a cribbage coffee table.
I was fantasizing today about...
Yes, you were. About my weight loss. This fantasizing brought to you by Awaken One Weight Loss. Go ahead.
I was fantasizing about taking a lot of your stuff to a pawn shop.
All my stuff is great. It's your stuff that's useless. Look at this great stuff. I've got a boat. I've got the parking meter lamp. It's all awesome stuff. And I almost had the cribbage table today, and I got outbid.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah. I never realized Facebook Marketplace was there.
Great.
It's incredible. It's incredible. The only thing is,
someone take Tom's phone, please.
Oh, it's. I want interesting stuff, so I'm looking for a Canon. I am kind of into one of those old sewing machines with the classic desks that are just ornate, really ornate. And there seem to be a lot of scams with those because a lot of people seem to have them pristine, giving them away, and I can never have them. It's weird. And then I am looking for
the old
a couple of old
classic
phones.
sewing machine scam.
I would like a real old payphone. And a few things like that. Now, a lot of these things end up in. I mean, this was a gorgeous steal. The.
All right, I'm about to admit Michael Graham to our meeting here.
Where is he? Where is he? Reminds me. Okay, here he is.
All right.
Ow! Ugh. All right, Graham, you there? He's saying stuff to me, but we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. This is like troubleshooting with all the editors at the Lowell Sun for the last year. We never had a meeting where... Here we go.
What are you doing? Why are you doing this with faces? Why? I mean, I get Alice's face, absolutely. Why are you doing it with our faces, man?
People like to criticize me in my look.
Exactly. Well, why do they have to criticize me?
This reminds me, Graham being late today reminds me of the most exciting day I've ever had in radio and the biggest letdown. Is that Graham was late for his own show. He didn't show up for his... By the way, this is Michael Graham of the New Hampshire Journal, formerly the...
Hey. Okay, let me just stop right there. Hi, I am Michael Graham, and I'm the president of Inside Sources, which owns New Hampshire Journal and various other products as well. Inside Sources, okay?
Have you fired half of the workforce?
Let me onto your...
Have you fired half of the workforce like Elon did?
You know what? I'm not even using Twitter to do it. I'm using like direct, traditional snail mail.
Did you see that?
Dear sir, you have been removed from office.
The New York Times reported that he's not even feeding them lunch anymore.
Oh, it's tragic. Tragic.
The almost greatest day I had in radio was.
Why is the camera so close on your face?
Oh no, it's only for you. When you
scary face. Oh, okay, good. It doesn't look like that out there in the world.
No, there's another camera that's up. That's happening.
It's very frightening.
I know.
I want Alice's face. Where's Alice's
I know.
face? That's what we want.
I know. Well, that's all. Can you see her?
I'm there. He can.
I see. She's like teeny little.
She has.
I feed in what the actual podcast
Michael,
looks like.
She's doing the weight loss thing that I'm doing, and she actually took the weight off.
Well, that's the difference exactly.
Hey.
So, by the way, Buttercup says hello, Alice.
Okay, people should know that. By the way, one of the things.
My lovely bride, Buttercup.
Michael Graham and I have in common.
It is our wedding anniversary today.
Oh my God! Happy anniversary!
Isn't it amazing?
Happy
anniversary. Another year that she is
just total miserable. Exactly.
Stuck in intractable hell.
If she ever figures out the drugs that I'm slipping into her food, I'm in big trouble.
Oh, that was a great. Your wedding was a great wedding.
It was a great wedding.
It was. That was such a fun night.
Listen, I've been to a lot of weddings. When I was in my misspent youth, I sang at weddings and for parts for my living, and that was the best wedding I've ever been to.
Did you get Alice? Were you bleep faced in that wedding?
No, I was. Pregnant.
Everybody was.
I was super pregnant, so I was not bleep faced. I was the one sober person.
I must have been. I remember you and I, Graham, doing some shots, and I remember the program director may have had a cocktail or two. I'm not sure. But anyway, that same program director, like 10, 12 years ago, whatever, said, Tom, we've got a problem. Michael Graham has been arrested. So when he didn't show up in the morning, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then Graham called me, or somebody said for some reason to go out to Framingham to the jail to find him, and I was like, oh, please let it be pedophilia. Let it be something good, please. And I was never so happy grinning driving down Route 9. I was like, oh, please.
Okay, you got this totally wrong. You got this totally wrong.
And it was
completely wrong. I was not late for the show. You're wrong. I was, because the MBTA because my car was gone, obviously, because that's why they stopped me. So the MBTA and the T got me to the station. It was like 8 minutes.
And actually, it didn't matter because you didn't. That ordeal was show prep, so it was
exactly. I was never more prepped to go on the mic than when Massachusetts bogusly arrested me on their crap scam. Which, by the way, we helped change. We ended that.
Yeah.
You now get in a note when they decide to revoke your license. They don't just do it and then hope that you get arrested at some point in the future.
His car towed from the rest area.
Exactly.
But that was an interesting day. By the way, a mugshot for the ages. Only Michelle McPhee could compete with that one. That was a beauty.
You don't know. It was I confess, the newbie. I had never had a mugshot before and wasn't sure what do you want to look like tough for the guys that are going to be in the joint, give them the look, or do you want to look innocent? Maybe this is going to be used in evidence against you. Yeah. And so I kind of tried to nuance it and it did not work.
No, well, it was a horrific mugshot. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault.
It was terrible.
I'm sure now you get to pick.
Mm-hmm. Trish in the chat says she vividly remembers that episode.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It was fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And the best part was the phones start ringing off the hook from all these people. And you remember, Shattuck, it was mostly guys who were mad because their wives had gotten caught in this, we're not going to tell you that your license is expired or suspended or whatever scam. And so we had all these stories of these moms are out with their kids and their cars being towed away and they're trying desperately for someone to get them because Massachusetts was so desperate for revenue. They intentionally set up a system designed to get, suburbanites standing on the side of the road waiting for help or going to jail. It was just amazing.
And that is before Massachusetts had good conservatives swept in elections.
Exactly.
And so we were talking today just about how Connecticut's gone, Massachusetts is gone. And
when it was ever not gone.
Well, I mean, there were little flits here and there every 6.5 years.
Alice, I got to ask, how many times I listen on occasion? I don't unfortunately listen regularly, but I listen on occasion. How many times do you just have to interrupt and shut him up because he has no idea what he's talking about? I mean, do you do this regularly?
A lot of times.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let me just so ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why you're watching the Burn Barrel. You have serious problems. You should seek help. So since beginning 1992, New England states have cast 272 electoral votes for president. Out of those, 6 have gone to Republicans. 4 in the year 2000, which, by the way, if New Hampshire had not gone for Bush in 2000, there never would have been a Florida. There never would have been a hanging chat. Al Gore would have won. It's the only time that New Hampshire has gone for a Republican since 1988, and they saved Bush's bacon. You could argue America.
And then the others that weird Maine congressional?
And then Maine, exactly. Maine has one because they divided up. They have loose electoral college, basically. Trump won in 2016 and 2020. That's it. And my point on that is that's how naturally Republican New England already is, just off the bat. Look at it another way. There are 33 members of Congress from the 6 New England states combined. Out of those 33, 1 is a Republican, kind of, and that's Susan Collins, which is why people are so amped that in this, based on the polls, and by the way, I completely went with the polls, the data, history. It's a midterm, crappy numbers. You have to follow the data, and I'm not a fortune teller. It all said something. I was saying to people, you could possibly quadruple the number of Republicans in Congress from New England, because right now there's 1, and you could have ended up with 4. But Of course, we ended up with not even close to even semi-1. Even Alan Funk didn't just go down in Rhode Island. He went down badly in Rhode Island because New England doesn't vote Republican, particularly at the federal level.
Yeah, was Jehana Hayes the closest congressional race in New England, actually? The Connecticut one?
Yeah.
That was the one that they almost
and what was the margin at the end? Was it 10 or something? 8?
It was 10? 4, I think. It was.
Oh, was that close?
Yeah,
Good.
It was,
which, by the way,
they didn't call it till really late.
They had him up for the last 3 months. The challenge, George Logan was up.
But the fact is, the Republican brand doesn't work in New England, so you can have Republican governors.
It was even closer than that. It was 50.4 to 49.6.
No way.
49.6. Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, congratulations. That's fantastic. But once again, given all
George
the other,
Logan still lost.
He's a big exception. It's a big exception.
And it just shows you how far you lost. So you have a Republican governor like Chris Sununu. You can have a really liberal Republican governor like Phil Scott in Vermont. You can have a Democrat who's running as a Republican like Charlie Baker. But that, at the governor at state level, the New Hampshire State House flipped to Republicans 2 years ago. This year, they're going to hold the Senate. The House is down to literally like 1 or 2 votes. It's going to be like Congress. But other than that weirdness of New Hampshire, which is kind of the last holdout at the state level, you just don't have a lot of Republican action in New England. And then drop the big monster Massachusetts. There are 9 congressional districts in Massachusetts. You will not be stunned to know that in 2024, when every one of those districts goes Democrat again, it'll be 30 straight years without a Republican general election win for Congress, House or Senate. 30 straight years. And I know what you're saying, Michael, Scott Brown. No, that was a special election. It was in January of 2010.
30 years.
It was a free.
So that's like Peter Blute is like
Peter Blute, exactly. 1994, you had, in the big wave, you had a Republican win, the Newt Gingrich year. And that was it. None since. So that's 30 years without voting for at congressional level. That's 40 years it will be without electing a U.S. senator. Plus, if you just look at the U.S. Senate part, and of course there's the presidential race. No Republican has carried Massachusetts since 1984, and so So the question is, why are you bothering? What is why if you're a Republican in Massachusetts, why? I would like to propose for and by the way, no joke. I'm not just saying this because of the show and the nature of the show. The whole time I was doing talk radio at WTKK with that incompetent buffoon of a producer I had, I hope it came across. I loved living in Massachusetts. It was great. It was a great place to live. Love the people. Love the gig. So this is not trashing Massachusetts as a place to live.
The content created by the Massachusetts government on a regular basis.
It was fantastic.
Really, really rich feeding grounds.
But if you're going to be at a point where we are right now, where 35% of the population of the votes, I should say, go to a Republican for president every 4 years. Doesn't matter if it's George W. Bush, Donald Trump, doesn't matter, 35%. But 17% of the state house is Republican because of gerrymandering, and 7% of the state Senate is Republican because of gerrymandering, and 0% of the members of Congress are Republican because of gerrymandering. Then why fight? Why fight? It's stupid. You're wasting your time trying to get Republicans elected in Massachusetts. I mean, and that, by the way, even includes the Charlie Baker, just not a Democrat Republicans. I mean, that is such a weird bank shot for it to happen that it doesn't make a lot of sense. I have another model.
Well, and the thing though with Baker too is that and people use this as an example all the time, because I had people say this to me, like, why can't a Republican win for governor of Massachusetts? Right. Baker did, and I'm like, you don't understand. First of all, he almost didn't win that election.
Exactly.
It took a terrible Democratic candidate. It took an endorsement from the Globe. It took all the pieces, an enormous amount of money. He had to cry in a TV debate. It took all the pieces going in exactly the right way. And then he eked out this tiny, slim victory. And then he was governor. And then 2018, I don't even count because they basically just didn't even run anybody.
Right.
That was
not a race. Once he was in, and that's another thing too, and I don't want to get too sidetracked on the Baker thing because it is such an oddball thing. But there are definitely plenty of voters in Massachusetts who are afraid of the Democratic Party.
Right. And
so once they figured out that Baker wasn't really a Republican, he was just kind of a not crazy Democrat, they were like, okay, sure, fine. That's why his popularity was so good and yada, yada. And then the party got Trumpified, and then they couldn't win back Baker. And so all that stuff happened, whatever.
But your point so far has been that as a Republican in Massachusetts or Connecticut, you cannot make a difference.
Right, exactly right. And by the way, kudos again to that great Connecticut congressional race. It's just phenomenal. That's fantastic, and that's something that everyone should look at and try to learn from. But by definition, it is an oddball race.
Yes.
So what do? I grew up in Redneckville, South Carolina, and my grandmother, who was as right-wing as you'll ever get, was a lifelong Democrat. And she was a lifelong Democrat because until the 1980s, everybody in South Carolina was a Democrat. And then you had a couple of breaks. Strom Thurmond broke. And then, then you had that big shift. But from basically 1880 until 1980, for 100 years, the entire state was run by Democrats. There were virtually no elected Republicans. So what happened? There were plenty of people who, like, for example, there are people who voted for, Republicans for president. Nixon carried, the South twice. They were willing to vote Republican. It's just that all of the action in their state was inside the Democratic Party. So what they did? They registered as Democrats. They voted as Democrats locally for Congress and for state rep and governor, whatever. It was all Democrats. And so what that meant was you had real live primaries between conservative Democrats and moderate Democrats. They don't have a lot of progressives in South Carolina, but across the South, from Texas over to Virginia, you had one party rule, but they had real contests because the fact is people are divided and there's a bunch of different opinions. Mm-hmm. But so what they could have done is they could have said, no, we're going to have a Republican Party here in South Carolina and Alabama, damn it. And there would have been 7 people in a room. They basically would have been the Libertarians. That's where the Republican Party is in Massachusetts. They are the Libertarians. They're an interesting oddball side show, but no one expects them to win any, come on, are you kidding me? So this is my idea for New England Republicans in most states. New Hampshire's is different. And obviously there are a handful of towns and stuff where this might not work. But broadly speaking, for those 6 states where there's no Republican Party, leave. Become a Democrat. Become a Democrat for a bunch of specific reasons. The number one is if you had a chunk, and I don't mean like all or even half or whatever, if you had 10 or 15% of the people who vote in Republican primaries start voting in your local Democratic primaries, they could help the non-crazy Democrats win. Because what's happening right now is the Democrats are having a fight between the crazy people and the really crazy people. Ayanna Pressley is in the middle of the Democratic bell curve. That is bad. That is bad. It doesn't matter what your party is bad. So what can you do? Well, yeah, sure, you can run a Republican against her to get 12% of the vote, sure. Or those 12% could join the 39% of her district that's not bleeping crazy. And they could not, once again, you'd have a Democrat. You're not going to get a Republican. I'm not talking about running fake Republicans, Baker, whatever kind of Republicans. I'm saying throw your weight behind the non-crazy Democrats because that's all you've got. You will make a huge difference.
So and I actually I don't think I could disagree with this more, honestly, because I think you're underestimating the amount of institutional control that the Democrats have over their party in Massachusetts. And I think that it's exemplified by how few primaries there actually are, even in Massachusetts. Like, we have one of the lowest rates of contested primaries in the entire country. And that's including, like, you would expect if we had actually like a thriving Democratic Party that we would have like what you're talking about in the South, where there would be a range of different Democratic views and people running and it's just not the case. Like, even the Democratic primaries are totally underrepresented.
I agree with you. I agree, but this is part of the reason why this will be a good thing for non-Democrats to become Democrats, is that the kind of people who are in the Democratic Party now, first of all, progressives have such an upper whip hand, they can use their power to discourage people from running. For example, if you're a moderate and you're in many of the districts, like state Senate districts, why would you run? The whole fight's going to be who can be, I think Bernie Sanders is okay, but he's a little too squishy for me. That's where they're going to be. If you suddenly knew as a potential, you're a normal person, you're an Alice, or you're a banker, you're a sane school teacher, and you think about running, and then all of a sudden you go, hey, wait a minute, there's this influx of voters who will back me because I'm not the crazy person.
But there's already so many unenrolled, and in Massachusetts, you can vote in either primary. I mean, a lot of people do stay unenrolled in Massachusetts for that reason. We have over half the voters in Massachusetts are unenrolled, and they specifically do it because a lot of times there aren't primaries that interest them on the Republican side. So I used to be unenrolled. I voted for Lynch over Markey when they were running for Senate because I wanted the slightly less insane partisan. Right. So I do think voters kind of already do that strategically in Massachusetts. I think that's one of the reasons our rates of unenrolled are so high. But I just think that the party is so strong and the machine politics of it are so strong in Massachusetts, the union power that's behind them. Like, I don't think it can possibly be effective because they always seem to get the candidate they want anyways. Almost never that there's an upset within the party.
Let me tell you, Alice Shattuck, why you were wrong. Let me tell you why you were wrong.
Okay.
Because we're not just voting Democrat. We're going to Democratic city committee meetings.
They won't let you in there.
No, yes, if I'm a Democrat, they'll let me in.
No, they
Exactly.
won't.
Yes, they are. And then I'm going to hobnob at the barbecues
You
along
have to
with.
be
with
voted
I'm
into
going to
the
be
thing.
drunk, with two Heffenreffers. And talking to the dude drinking, equine urine water, and having it out.
They know what we are. They're not going to let us into the event.
They don't know what everybody is.
Pretty much they do.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. They can't stop registered Democrats from participating in the registered Democrat Party. Now you're right, because of the layers, they count on suppressing you at some point as you move up.
Yeah, you have to be voted into the committees. You have to be voted into the caucuses.
By your fellow Democrats. So you bring 25 Democrats, you outnumber the committee because people don't show up at these meetings.
They will find you. They will find out what you're doing, and they will invite all their friends.
Yeah,
and
but if there's more,
as we already know, there's more of them. There's more of them, though.
Of course there are. Let me back up. So in the 1970s and 80s, a bunch of evangelical Christians who didn't really vote or who had been traditional Democrats got engaged by Roe v. Wade. And they said, we've got to get involved. And they did this. They started taking over the precinct level. They took over and they changed the entire Republican Party. The point is not that you're going to turn the Democratic Party into a Republican Party. The point is that there are Democrats who are not Ayanna Pressley Democrats. And there are potential Democratic candidates who aren't those people, but they don't know where they're going to get the votes.
Never let them anywhere near the party.
That's sorry.
Yes, if I register as a Democrat, Alice, I can be a Democratic activist all I freaking want to, and they're not going to let me in the door. If they're having meetings?
They're not going to let you in the door. And if you think that the way people hated us in Melrose because we were active in the Republican Party was bad, just wait until you start showing up at their events. They will freaking. There's going to be burning crosses in your yard, like the old school Democratic Party.
At the bars and restaurants, etc. I can't go. My money's not good there.
They're not going to let you in. It's
That's bullshit.
They're not.
What is this?
They know
you can't come in.
No, they don't. I mean. Because I've seen how they treat people who veer off from the fold. Look at what happened. And the Democratic Party institutionally is just stronger than the Republican Party. They are a lot, not just here either, but like nationally. Look at what happened, right? When, for example, when Trump came in and took over the GOP, the RNC was like, we can't really do anything about, it just happened. He just won all the primaries and took over, right? But when they had a big primary in 2020 with the Democrats, what happened? There was a big deal. Everybody dropped out around Super Tuesday, and we're like, time for Biden. They have so much more control over their party. They go after people who leave the fold. And I've known people who've gone independent.
If the Democratic City Committee in Wakefield to try and is locking out 25 new minted Democrats who want to be at an event or function, that's newsworthy, I think.
Well, you could try it, but I can tell you that they're not going to let you in the door.
But more importantly,
I know people that have been booted from their stuff because they're not on board with new things.
So more, look, no one's disputing your point about the desire of the party, and they do have much more control. They are more of a top-down organization than Republicans. They are coalition politics as opposed to ideological politics. So it's easier to feed your coalition. Here's a goodie for you. Here's a seat for you. Republicans want to fight about libertarian economics versus whatever. I agree with all that, but what you can't stop is people voting. And two things happen when people in Massachusetts leave the Republican Party and join the Democratic Party. First of all, they're ending a lot of wasted time, because anything you do for the Massachusetts Republican Party is a waste of time. Just walk away. It's been dead for years. It's Weekend at Bernie's 9. Leave it alone. It's dead. So right away, you're the second thing is, there are people who have a different vision of what it means to be a Democrat. And if the votes show up, they will follow. if you get a, you know,
they won't, because the union is going to send out 1,000 homeless people's ballots into the ballot.
They're doing that anyway. Look, they're doing that anyway.
But they know which bubble they're supposed to fill out. Who's the quote real Democrat? They know what they're doing. They know who their union's donating to.
They're doing that anyway. But the ability to organize votes that way versus what would happen if literally another 15% of the electorate was brand new and they just came walking in and said, we want the moderate Democrat. They don't have that kind of power, Alice. Those are two big numbers.
But I think something should be said for Alice's New England defeated attitude. No, we just have to lose every year. We just have to suck it up. We're going clandestine. We're doing an insurgency here.
They're gonna know it's not gonna work.
No, I disagree with clandestine. I agree with insurgency, not clandestine. I think the thing for Republicans to do would be for thousands of Republicans to get together and say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to we are going to try to make the Democratic Party less crazy for the benefit of our state. We know we can't win anything. Fine, we can help the less crazies and announce it. Here we go. We're raising money. We're organizing. Right. You're a moderate Democrat. And you've got a crazy nutburger, rolling eyes person, we'll help you beat him. Just not call us. We will show up. We'll vote. We're registered. We're here. Now, if you're saying, well, then that'll just drive out more crazies, you might be right. But I think the Democratic Party in Massachusetts is affected by the fact that the crazies are louder, but they are not necessarily as numerous as you think. Everyone thinks AOC runs the Democratic Party, but AOC's vote share of the Democratic Party broadly is small. It's just that she's loud and people are scared of her. Republicans aren't scared. Republicans will show up and people will say, you have to support my gender rights, transphobe, blah, blah, blah person. They'll say, no, I don't. I'm going to vote for Phil because he's normal. I'm going to vote for Susie because she's not crazy.
Right.
What are you going to do? And then Phil and Susie will have more incentive.
Alice is convinced that the Democratic version of Mossad is going to profile everybody at the door.
I just think they're not going to let you do it. I think they're
going to let me do it, Alice. I'm going into the building, or I'm going to be outside of the building.
Now.
You should see how they treat people who are like actual Democrats who go off.
Alice, these are beta male, bitchy men, and some of the women are formidable.
Yes.
And so those in the process of transitioning, who knows?
Let me share you a story that might actually back Alice's thing. So as you know, New Hampshire Journal covers New Hampshire politics, and we very happy with the results. New Hampshire Press Association gave us the award for best political coverage this past year. Our stuff gets quoted by Washington Post, blah, 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 because we're doing journalism. And by the way, just the sad state of journalism in America, I have been reduced to doing journalism because other people just won't do it. So Senator Maggie Hassan ran for election. She won't hold any town. She didn't hold any town meetings. None. Zero. Mm-hmm. She held 0 open press events, and the Democratic Party has a blockade on New Hampshire Journal. They won't answer. They send out press releases and then won't answer questions about their own press releases from New Hampshire Journal. So it's leaked to me where Hassan is going to be right before so it's the huge election, national news.
Yeah.
So I find out. So I go walking up to the door. And they send someone out to stop me because they know who I am because they track me and all this stuff. And so she says, who are you? Who are you with? And I stick up my hand and I go, I'm Michael Graham. I'm a New Hampshire Journal. She takes my hand. I take her whole arm and just pull her behind me and walk right in the room.
Nice.
So I'm in the room and chatting with the other reporters. So I know and blah, blah, blah. Maggie Hassan sends out her press stooge. You can't be here. What are you doing here? You can't be here. You have to leave. I'm going to have to leave. You must leave. You can't be here. What are you talking about? You're not credentialed. What? Are you kidding me? The New Hampshire Press Association says I'm credentialed. Well, I don't say you're credentialed. Dude, you're like some campaign hack. You don't credential people. What are you, crazy? Well,
by the way, I believe that Graham said this verbatim.
So this is, but the audio was up, by the way. I was rolling audio the whole time. So great. The audio's up at hjournal.com. But the best part was he said what Allison said, which is, you are not supposed to come. And he crossed his arms and looked at me like I was going to leave. And I said, we can call the cops, have me thrown out if you want, but I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so he did what Shattuck predicts and what I predict the Democrats will do. He slunk away.
Right.
Like your confrontation. So on the one hand, Alice is right that they will try to throw you out. On the other hand, Shannick is right. They're a bunch of wussies. They're Democrats.
Well, but also
gutless, weaselly, terrified, scared Democrats.
But also,
they beat up each other.
As you were saying, the formation of this group of Democrats will be news. It will be known.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be some Democrat in the field somewhere who says, "Geez, I could get 11,000 extra votes."
Exactly.
Maybe I'll let these guys into a secret underground meeting in the sewers. I'll meet with them as long as nobody finds out. Of course.
Yeah.
And actually, Graham, it would be. Hold on one second. Actually, it would be the moderates who do that.
Yes.
Because not only because they need the support, but because they're also good. They want an audience who doesn't throw bottles of urine at them if they say maybe removing breasts of 12-year-old girls is a bad thing.
And by the way, before we go to Alice, just my one last point. There are 160 members of the Massachusetts House. I think 17 of them are Republicans. There are 40 members of the state Senate. 3 of them are Republicans. So the worst case scenario is now. I mean, there's you almost can't get lower numbers than that. As hard as they try to redraw the maps, they can't get lower numbers. So the Republican Party is already as dead as it's going to get. It cannot get deader. So why not try to have some influence on how the state is actually run by electing some non-crazy Democrats?
I love it.
I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll work.
My only worry
in that case, then you've done nothing. Then it's the same as now. What do you have to lose?
Once we tip all these seats in 2 years, is that the Democrats then go and become Republicans. And we're constantly chasing them from party to party.
Yeah. So
there's no danger of anybody in New England becoming a Republican unless they absolutely have to. Once again, 272 electoral college votes. Democrats got all of them except 6. What the Republicans, in all seriousness, one last thing about the national election, all the millions of dollars that were wasted on General Don Bolduc in New Hampshire, terrible candidate. All the billions that were wasted on Caroline Leavitt, not a good fit for a much more talented candidate, but just not a good fit for the state. All the money wasted in Rhode Island, Maine. If that should have gone to Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, the National Republican Party should just write off New England. They should just say, you know what, we just don't play there. We're going to go elsewhere. We're going to go where it matters. And there's plenty of states, plenty of electoral college votes that Ron DeSantis can carry in 2024. You don't need to mess with Massachusetts. One of the few states, by the way, where I think Trump could beat DeSantis is Massachusetts. Because all that's left are the Trumpies.
Yeah, everybody else.
So exactly.
Everybody else is in Florida.
Go to the other states where there are actual lots of Republicans. Yeah. You don't have to, drink the Kool-Aid and absorb the squid shot. Did you have that one? Were you part of that? We had a group in New Hampshire that claimed that there were squid-like creatures in the vaccines.
No.
And that's why they couldn't get vaccine. I'm not a member of the state legislature.
I mean, is there any question?
Said that.
Hey, so let's read those questions.
So there are some comments in the chat. Let's see. Mark in Wakefield says that he agrees with me. The Democrats rule with an iron hand. They're not the majority. They are just more organized. Trish says I'm with Alice too. The corrupt Massachusetts Dem machine is as powerful as the DC swamp. Morgan says this is the dumbest idea he's ever heard.
Incorrect. Don't believe these people, Graham. These people are Alice
do I ever
acolytes.
Listen to anyone? I just want to go back to the guy who says that in Massachusetts, Democrats aren't really the majority. They're not really. No, I'm making that up. You're absolutely right. I'm making that up.
Technically, in Massachusetts, unenrolleds are the majority, which is interesting to me.
Is it interesting to you that no one has been elected as a member of Congress as a Republican since 1994? Is that interesting to you?
Yes.
Keeping our powder dry, Graham.
Trish says if I could be.
Was Alice even alive in 1994?
Yes. Trish says that if I could replace Jim Lyons as the head of the Mass GOP, maybe we'd have a better shot. I mean, I do think that there has to be a culture shift, right? The idea of what it means to be a Republican has to change in people's minds. I just think it has to be like funner because now, and I'll tell you, because I was at the convention this past year and
it's brutal. It's brutal.
It was really, really rough. And like, I mean, there were a bunch of people there who were like 80 who were like, this is a really well-run and really entertaining event. Very nice job. Like, and I do honestly think that the loss of WTKK made a difference in the state. I think the feeling of having sort of like a subculture of conservatism in the state is an important aspect of that. But I think that it has to be like a cultural movement. I think Trump tapped into that a bit, certainly, in terms of like what it means to be conservative, shifting a bit. That cultural wave has not yet hit Massachusetts, that's for sure. But I do think that there has to be an aspect of it where it's like people are having a good time, because a big part of like what this Democrat activist political culture is in Massachusetts is it is the social life for a lot of these people, right? And it's not just like they're not just going door knocking together. They're like organizing movie watching events where they go watch movies about climate change, or like events where they get together and talk about their whiteness and all kinds of other things. Like,
wait, we have to go to those?
Yeah, that's now this idea is sounding worse and worse. But here's my point.
But here's what I'm saying:
if you will join your local Democrat, if you will join your local town Democratic committee, you can get better movies.
That's
you
a good
can
point.
change it. It doesn't have to be.
I could finally
be Top Gun Maverick.
The conservatives could also just get together and do stuff together.
Like what?
Well, my friends organized a showing of 2,000 Mules that I went to.
Great. That's great.
Oh, that's good. That's a real winner. That's swinging the voters.
I had a really good time.
Yeah. Did Ash record a special greeting for you guys?
Oh my God!
I want to go to whatever party allows me to twerk in front of 6-year-olds. Which one is that?
Well, you're in luck. That fits right in with Graham's idea. You can, in fact, organize that in the Massachusetts Democratic Party.
You've got one party that's alive. So, and then that's just the way things are. I mean, you can say all you want, blah, blah, blah. You got one party that's alive. You can either try to get it to be less crazy, or you can just quit. But those are the only two options.
Me and Graham,
or you can waste your time.
Me and Graham and
I'm
Real
gonna waste
Patriots.
my time.
No, me and Graham and Real Patriots are crashing that party like the Beastie Boys video for "You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party." All right, he is the editor-in-chief, CEO of InsideSources.com. That's the D.C. Journal, Alice. Delaware Valley Journal, New Hampshire Journal. That's the beginning of his empire. Graham?
The beginning of the empire.
I do.
So Buttercup is texting. She wants to know what I'm doing and why we aren't having dinner yet. So,
what is for dinner, by the way?
I'm going to make a chicken and avocado salad.
That's a winner.
And then that's a winner.
That.
Yeah, I could walk.
And then afterwards, I'm going to just totally gorge myself on nachos.
Oh, you bastard! I would kill for nachos. Oh, by the way, we should mention that I was getting to it early because I usually like to say something inappropriate about his wife. Extremely attractive.
Would you stop it?
Extremely attractive.
Stop it.
Hot.
But,
we love her. We love her.
Yeah,
everybody
will ever know,
Alice.
Let me tell you.
She's an idiot.
She is a good-looking lady. Let me tell you that. All right, Graham. Thank you. We appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on the show, the podcast. Is it even a podcast anymore? Is it?
It is a podcast.
Is it?
Yes.
What do you mean? Is it a podcast?
It seems
anymore?
bigger than a podcast. It seems It seems bigger.
Right. Well,
podcast is too confining. It's breakout.
I know.
We're beyond the podcast.
I'm trying to
Burn Barrel Media Enterprise.
Checks I have everywhere, like Chevy Chase and
exactly right.
Whatever that thing is, Caddyshack. All right, see you later, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Talk to you later. So, do I leave too?
You can leave if you want.
I'm leaving, but I'm staying.
Okay. I'm gonna end the meeting.
Okay. So
And
all right.
We are still streaming though.
All right. So I know you wanted to get to. We're gonna do the chat tomorrow. Well, I know you wanted to get to. The other thing. I mean, do you want to just spend a couple of minutes quickly?
Yeah, we can spend a little time with that. So basically, what happened? One of the messages went away. Did you delete one?
No, I don't know how to delete one.
I wonder if people can unsend their messages. Anyway, what was I going to say? Okay. Yeah, so the big news today really is, before we got into Graham's dumb idea here that we just went through.
It's not a dumb idea.
It is a dumb idea.
No, you're
it's
a dumb
not
idea.
going to work.
Taking a lot of crap for your roof patching again. Some people seem to be actually upset that you were up there today. Hey, let the record show. I went and got the tarp, and I bought the duct tape as well.
Yeah, you did. I sent you to the store.
Heroics from me today.
Yeah, great job.
Is there something that you wanted to say, or are we going?
Well,
you don't have to get into
all over the place. I started to talk about the thing, and then you interrupted about the roof thing, and then you're like,
because I'm getting messages. It's just okay. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Anyway, so the big news today really is this like crypto thing, the FTX and the Sam Bankman-Fried.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really like, I guess we should probably do most of that in the chat, but it's really a fascinating story. In the Patreon. It's really a fascinating story, and it's like another one of these Fire Festival type things where it's completely just it's a scam.
The problem is it in both situations, I generally like the pool of people who are victimized. No, I don't like them, so I like that they were victimized. Like the marketing DBs from Firefest, they all have that coming. You know, Manhattan marketing majors and, you know, people who quote from the tipping point. It's like wonderful that happened. They didn't have any lunches or like food or shelter. And now it's the crypto people. The crypto people find themselves very interesting when they talk about crypto.
This is not the really hardcore crypto. Okay.
You know who it's not hurting?
What's not hurting?
You know who this scandal is not hurting?
Who's not hurting?
Who's it not hurting?
Tom Shattuck?
El Broco. I have my net worth remains sub-zero, exactly where it was beforehand. I am immune from this.
Well,
we have been in a Great Recession since for more than 10 years, so we're fine.
Everything is the same for the Shaddocks. That's true. But it's important to note this isn't the real like hardcore crypto people. So it's important to like get the idea that this is a crypto exchange and not a crypto wallet. Right? So on a crypto exchange, you're not really like that in charge of your own money. If you have a crypto wallet, then you have the keys to your own coins and tokens and whatever. That's your stuff and you have it, right? Of course, if your keys get stolen or you give them to the wrong person, they can just take your stuff. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But the like hardcore crypto people, like Matt Carano and Steve Robinson have not been impacted by this FTX collapse because they like have their own crypto wallets and stuff. The people who are really into crypto are not impacted. I hate to tell you. This victimized like sort of dilettantes who want to be into crypto but don't really know what they're doing. So they're taking sort of the out of the box solution. This is a crypto exchange where they're essentially like taking care of all the hard details for you. But the problem with that is it's also they're in control of all the money and everything, right? So what happened is this company FTX, they were an exchange where you could trade all kinds of crypto. And they also had their own coin on their crypto exchange called FTT.
Mm-hmm. And
the biggest owner of their coin that they had was another company owned by them called Alameda. And these guys, so it's this Sam Bankman-Fried guy. He's one of these sort of rationalists. Have you heard of effective altruism?
No.
So effective altruism is like this movement. Elon Musk is actually sort of linked to it slightly too. But basically, like, they're these, like, super rationalists, and, like, Bill Gates, too. They're, like, very obsessed with giving money to charity and, like, changing the world, and how can we use our money? This is why it's called effective altruism. Like, how can we get, like, save the most lives per dollar? How can we, you know, use our money most effectively to impact the world? So they're into all these like big data projects and futurism and transhumanism and stuff. Like I said, Elon Musk is like into this too, and they're super like rationalists. They don't hold by, like, most of them are atheists big time. A lot of them are polyamorous. So a bunch of them were living down in the Bahamas, which is where they were running this company from. They're all like in their 20s and 30s, and they're all like, we're changing the world, we're effective altruists, we're gonna like save all these lives and like change the world for the future, and they're vegans. And by the way, they're also all like sleeping together. They're in a polycule together down in the Bahamas and running these like massive crypto companies and stuff. So they're trading like billions and billions of dollars in crypto. They're the biggest owners of their own crypto coin and like trading it back and forth themselves to like create the value for it. And then they're also, because they're big left-wing activists, this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, was the second biggest after George Soros, the second biggest individual donor in the 2022 midterm election.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, he donated $40 million to get Democrats elected, and he's been going around saying
I don't like that dude with the curly hair, the pudgy kid. I hate him.
And he's been going around saying that his personal soft ceiling for what he wanted to spend in 2024 against Ron DeSantis was $1 billion.
Ron DeSantis.
What did I say?
John, doesn't matter.
I said Ron, I thought. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so he is like a major Democrat donor, major, and using all these like left-wing progressive causes and stuff. And they're essentially money laundering because they're taking in all this money. They're buying a bunch of celebrity endorsements. There's commercials with Tom and Giselle telling people to get into this crypto market, and it's essentially a pyramid scheme.
It's great. It's now gone. I'm glad the DBs have exploded. I love it.
And there's millions of dollars being sucked back out of the company into their Bahamas shell company. So now I'm seeing stuff online that he's now being detained in the Bahamas. So we'll see what happens.
I assume he is. And that girl, that's what the difference. That's why everybody involved with the Fire Festival were awesome.
Yeah.
The rapper and Billy, they were all great. I love those people. I love them all.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Patreon people, stay right there. We're going to go onto the other side, do a little more on various things, and we're going to talk more about this crypto company stuff and all of that. You can find that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. Of course, you can always find the main show for free, burnbarrelpodcast.com. You can leave those chat messages. We'll get to those tomorrow. And thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
C'est la vie.